Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have a good looking puzzle in front of us. Before we get into that, I just wanted to have a couple of things to say. First off, thank you all for the continued support. We're getting pretty close to the 1,000 sub mark, which would be a nice little milestone. That said, if you do wish to support the channel even further, there is a new little button down below the videos here, which is super thanks. So you can make a donation if you want to help the channel out, try to keep this thing running and going. Also, I may or may not be setting up memberships. I haven't quite decided about if I'm going to do it or not. If it's something you guys are interested, let me know, and it'll certainly can sway my decision there. Essentially, the memberships would just allow you guys to pay like a small monthly fee to get some extra perks for the channel. So anyway, like I said, something I've been thinking about. The last thing I want to say is that sadly, there was another Windows update either yesterday or the day before it was now. And every time I have a Windows update, my microphone likes to start messing up, and I cannot fix it in any way that's rational. So it may be possible that there will be some little jump cuts within this video. Nothing nefarious there. It's just going to be me removing any sections of the video where the audio will cut out. And since I've got the headphones on and I can listen to myself talking, I'll know immediately once that occurs, and then I can just do a quick little cut. So hopefully those don't occur, but I expect they will, at least for a little bit, until something gets sorted. Anywho, all that said, and thanks for listening, is now let's get into this puzzle. So first off, it's called Perfect Shot by Ridhwan. We've done a couple of puzzles by Ridhwan before, and they've all been good. I mean, there's not a single puzzle that I've ever posted that I haven't said was good, and hasn't been good, so I would expect that this would be exactly the same. But there is one rule set in this one that we don't tend to see as often as a lot of the other ones that are kind of the typical ones. And that's kind of why I wanted to get into this one and get it going. So that said, let's look at these rules and see what's going on. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So every row, every column, and every 3x3 box, if I can do things properly, contains the digits 1 through 9 once each. Then we also have each line consists of, orange lines are 10 lines. So this is the rule set that doesn't get used too often as far as I've seen on the settings. So each line consists of one or more contiguous groups of cells, each of which sums to 10. These groups of cells cannot overlap. Digits may repeat on lines and even within sums. So what does all that mean? If you have not done a 10 line before, like I said, I don't believe I've ever done one on this channel, but I know I've done them in the past. So this is what this is. So in any of these lines, all of these are 10 lines, other than the arrows, obviously. We'll get the arrows in a second. All of these 10 lines must be broken down into contiguous groups of cells that will add up to 10. So if we were to look at, let's say this one, for instance, and I'll use hypotheticals here, even though we can clearly tell some of the things that I'm saying can't apply to this one, but just to put all the information out there. This could be some combination of different sets of 10s, or well, that's kind of the point. It can be some combination of different sums of 10s, or obviously in this case it can't be, but the entire cell or row of cells on the line could add up to 10 by itself. Now, like I said, in this instance here, we could have these two cells add up to 10, and then these three cells add up to 10. Or we could have these three cells add up to 10, and then these two, etc., etc. And it's our job to figure out how we divide these lines up into appropriate groupings. And as it says, you can't overlap anything. So it can't have something like there's 3 cells here that add up to 10, and then these 3 cells add up to 10, because you'd be reusing this one cell, and that doesn't work. So those are the general rules of 10 cell. I won't get into more specifics because we'll leave that for the actual solve portion. The other rule set that we have here is arrows. So digits along an arrow must sum to the digit on that arrow circle. So let's look at this one. These two digits, whatever they are, add them up. They'll add up to the digit in the circle. And those are the rule sets. So with that said, the link will be in the description below. And let's get started on this. And again, if there are any audio issues, I will try to cut as much of that out so it doesn't affect the viewing experience on this thing. So the question now is, where are we going to start with these? Because we're going to have to figure out how to realistically break down these 10 lines. Now, as I stated in the portion of the rules, we could have a set of 2 here and a 3. We could have a set of 3 and a 2. Something on this particular line that we cannot do would be, well, on any of the lines, you can't have a single digit be one section of a 10 line because you can't put a single 10 into it. In this particular 10 line, we also cannot put 4 together to equal 10 because it'll leave a singular over, and that we just said can't occur. And we also can't put all 5 of these digits together because in this specific case, to do so, we require us to have 4 different digits in this row, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4 as the bare minimum, which is already 10, and then this one would have to be a 0. But some of those issues and reductions into what this one can specifically be may not apply to some of these other ones. Like this one could just be 3 digits that add up to 10. Well, in fact, if we look at it and think about it, it actually just has to be the 3 digits add up to 10. Because like we said here, it can never have a single digit. So if you had a single digit and 2 digit, that wouldn't work. And vice versa. So this is always going to be 3 digits that add up to 10. In fact, while we're here, why don't we just start marking that? So we know that this is going to be 3 digits that add up to 10. So we'll mark it as such. And just as an example, this could end up being a 3 and a 2. And this is the kind of the way that we could mark it to keep ourselves understanding of what those divisions of the line are. Okay, now that we've got that set, what exactly are we really doing? And I did notice that we have the entire perimeter of this puzzle is completely filled with arrows and 10 lines. So there must be some juxtaposition between these 2 rule sets that's going to give us an in to this puzzle. Now we can think about like what can this circle be? If we were thinking about this circle, because this one is obviously has more restrictions to it because it has 2 different ways of making a digit. So like on this one, we could have anything from 3 or higher because these could be 1, 2, and up. In this one, we can't go down to 3 or 4 because we wouldn't be able to create 3 or 4 in 2 different ways. So we're looking at a bare minimum here of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Same would be for here. This guy we can actually say has to be 6 or higher because we have a 3 cell. And the only way to make the bare minimum, I should say, to make a 3 is 1, 2, 3, or with 3 is 1, 2, 3, which equals 6. Okay. It's a lot of prepping work already going on here, but I think we can go further with this guy and probably this guy as well at some point, but let's start up here. So what do we know? Well, we know whatever this digit is, we can consider to be x. And therefore, we know that whatever these 2 digits are is another portion of x. These 2 digits combined is going to be another x. So this entire arrow we could classify as 3x. Now, why does that matter? Well, let's think about it in terms of if it was a low-ish digit, like a 5. So we're looking at 5, 10, 15. Now, is there, obviously, think about what can an entire row add up to? It has to be 45. So is there any way that these 4 digits could add up to 30 because that's what's left over? Well, the answer is no, because this is a 10 line. Now, if it wasn't a 10 line, it could be 9, 8, 7, 6, and that would get us up to 30. But we can't do that because the absolute maximum we could ever get in here is 20. Well, in fact, we can't even get to 20, can we? Because we have, it's two sets of digits, however, or values, or digits to equal a value, as to say. So the maximum technically we could ever have on these 4 digits, I should say, would be 19. Because you could have either these 2 or these 3 together equal 10. It doesn't really matter. And whatever the remainder is would be something less than 10, because that remainder would have to have something added to it. So what does that tell us about what this can be? Well, we just said that 5 obviously doesn't work. 6 is not going to work either. Does 7 work? 21? No, because we'll still need 24 left over. What about 8, 16, 24? We'll still need 21 left over, so we can't do that. So this just has to be 9. And then what? If this is 9, we know this is 9, 18, 27. So we've got 18 left. And we're going to get rid of 10 in some fashion, whether it be these 2 or these 3. So essentially, either this equals 8 if we had the 3-cell grouping. That equaled to 10. This would be just a straight up 8. Or if we had a 2-cell grouping, these 2 would add up to 8. Now, I don't think we can use that just yet, because I don't think we can differentiate that at the moment. Can we? Well, let's look down this side and maybe something else will happen for us. Because we can use the same concept. Now this will be x, and this together will be 2x. And then, well, we know that this equals 20. Let's think about why that is, right? Because either, oh no, we don't necessarily know it's 20. Because technically it could be all 4 digits that add up. No, it can't be. There's a couple of reasons why. Let's go through that. If this was 1, 2, 3, 4 to equal 10, that leaves 5 and 6 as a bare minimum here, and that breaks it. The other way to think about it would be if this was 10, the most these could ever be would be 2 9s. So we're up to 28, because we'd have 10, 9, and 9. And we still have to have, what did I say, 28? We still have to have 17 left over, and the only way you can make 17 is to use a 9 in these 2. So it would be 9, 8. And we've already used the 9, so we can't do that. So that tells us this has to be a grouping of some sort of 2 10s. So we can color these. Let's go green here and purple here. And the only way we can do it is with 2 cells. Because again, we can't do 3 and 1, and we can't do all 4. So it's going to have to be 2 separate groupings. Okay. Now that we know that this is 20, can we use the same information we discovered up here to take this any further? So again, let's look at this. There's no way this is going to be like a 3, a 4, a 5, I don't think, because you're looking at 20. Let's just look at the 5 first. 20 here plus another 10 is 30, so these would have to equal 15. Could that actually work? It might actually be able to work. Let's look at that further. Let's put in our options. 4 would definitely be out, because 24, 28. And we would need, well, 17 left over. You still could do that, couldn't you? Yeah, 28 would leave you with 17 left over, and you could have a 9, 7 technically. Is that correct? Or is my math just really bad this morning? Yeah, that seems like it could work. Yeah, okay. Maybe we continue down the line then. Again, we're going to know this has to be two different groupings. So we have 20 here. Okay, this is going to be a little bit different because we don't have the possibility of two extra digits. So we know this is going to be 20. We don't know which order it's in. It's either 3, 2 or 3, 2 this way, but these do equal 20. If these were to be anything fairly low, like 5, we only get 10 more. This is 30. We'd have to get 15 in a single digit. We can't do that. What about 7s? So 20, 34. Again, you'd have to have 11, so that doesn't work. 8 may very well still work, though, because you have 16, 36, and this could be a 9. Okay, so that is possible. Can we now look at this? Because again, the same concept here. These have to equal 20. It's either a set of 3 and 2 or 3 here and 2 here. So this is 20. This is either an 8, 8, and 20, which would be 36. And this would have to be, oh, this can't be 9. So this would have to be 9 if this was 8, so that can't be. So this is just 9 then. And if this is 9, that's 9, 9, 18, plus 20 is 38. This has to be a 7, and therefore this has to be a 2. All right. Now, if we know this is a 9, can we look back here and do anything? Because again, we have the same concept. This is 9, 18. This is another 20. Yeah, so it's 38 going into this, so this has to be another 7. And this has to equal 10, so this has to be a 3. So now this can't be a 7. What else can we do? Can we determine anything further about this guy? Because we're looking at, again, we have 9, 18, 27 minus one of the 10s, or plus one of the 10s. So at 37, again, we said we had to have an 8 left over somehow between these two, or either this one or these two. Maybe if we look at it in the opposite direction this time. Because again, we could have 8, 28. These could still be 17. Okay. Excuse me. So where's the next place to look then? Because both of these, they have to have their own way of making 9. Same with this has to be another way of making 9. And neither of these can use 7. So we can't do 7, 2. But we could still have 8, 1, 6, 3, or 5, 4 in all of those. Okay. What about, okay, let's look at the math on this one again, see if we can figure anything else out. If this was something low, oh wait, this can't be a 4 because it has a 3 here. Let's look at the obvious stuff here. 10. If this is 5, it would be 10, 30. These would have to equal 15. Again, it would have to have a 9 on it because we can't do 8, 7. What else is there that we can know about this? Oh, we can look at this and say that can't be a 9. I just somehow gazed over here. That means one of these has to be a 1. I don't know if that's going to be too useful at the moment, but I saw it, so let's grab it. Let's see. There has to be a way we can figure this guy out. Let's look at the extreme. What if this was a 9? We get 18 and 20. We're at 38 again. These would have to equal 7. If these have to... If these... Oh, wait. I'm being slow. We're going to be able to reduce this the other way because I forgot about the 10s. Like we said, if this is 5 and 5, which is 10, and this is 20, that's 30, these would have to equal something higher than 10, and that would break the 10. Therefore, we can get rid of that option. The 6, I think, was the same way, right? So 18, 12. For some reason, I tripled it, thinking back on this one for some reason. 12 and 20 is 32. We'd be higher than 10. Okay, that's where we had to look at it. Look from that perspective. Now, let's look at these options further. If we start with 8, we've got 16 and 36. These two have to equal 9, which means this would always be part of a 3-cell grouping. If it's a 9, it's going to be the exact same. This would be even lower. So this is 3 cells, and this is a 2-cell. Now, what did we say looking across here? Or do we want to continue and find what our options are? Because again, if we 8, 16, 36, these have to equal 9. This would have to be a 1. If these were 9s, it's 18, 38. These would have to equal 7, so this would have to be a 3. Okay, didn't quite get us too far, but that's okay. Let's look back this way again. It seemed like we have to go back and forth to try to figure out how to do this. So we now know we have 9, 18, 27, 37. These two digits combined are going to have to equal up to 8. So if it's a 3, this would be a 5. If it's a 1, it would have to be a 7, and it can't be a 7. There we go. This is 3. This is 5. This is now 2, because this has to add up to 10. There we go. Now we can probably figure out what these two groupings are, because this has to equal 9 without using 2, 3, 5, or 7. The only option left is 1, 8, which means this is 4, 6, and that equals to 10, so that's good. Now going back here, these are 7, so I think that meant this has to be a 9, right? 9, 18, 38, 7. Yes, so this is 9. And can we do the same thing we just did over here? Here. Yes, because 2, 5, 3, and 7 are the exact same things. This has to be 1, 8, and 4, 6. There we go. Now we're moving. Okay, what's next? I don't think we can go back in here because we haven't done anything other than our 7s. So can we look back at this line? We know these 3 must add up to a 10. And it's going to have a 1 on it, isn't it? Because we already have, in this region, we already have 2, 3, and 5. So if we didn't put a 1 in here somewhere, these two digits here would be 4 and 6. That would break things in a couple of ways. First off, we'd already have 10. This would have to be 0, and we'd break this digit. So there has to be a 1 in here. Excuse me. And therefore, this has to be 8, and this has to be 1. That actually gets rid of that 1 and puts 1 there. So that's cool. All right, then what do we have? What are the options here? Because we know if one of them has to be a 1, the next step up is 4. That would be 5. This could be a 5. The other option would be, or options probably, 1 and 6. That would equal 7. Then you have to put a 3 here, which we can't do that. Or 1 and 7 would equal 8, and then we'd put a 2 here. And we can't put an 8, so that doesn't allow that. Also, we have to put a 9 over here somewhere, which looks down here, this 9, and we can't put a 9 on an arrow. So this is a 9. All right, there we go. Can we look any closer at what this 9 now can be? It could still be, no, it can't be 1, 8, because the 1 has to go up in here. It could be 2, 7. It can't be 3, 6, and it could be 4, 5. Is that a, yeah, 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7. So we have a quintuple of digits to go with our 3 and our 9. So the only thing left is 6 and 8, which means these two have to be 6 and 8. Now, if this is an 8, if we start looking at this line now, that would force this to be a 2, because we have to get up to 10. We can't do 8, 1, 1 or something like that. This is a 6. This could be a 4, or it could be 6 with a 1 and a 3. I think both of those options are possible. Okay. All right, so where can we go now? We might have to get into one of these other 10 lines now to see if that sorts anything else out. So let's look at this one, I guess. What can this be grouped as? Well, I guess the possibilities are we could have these two equal 10, these two equal 2, and these two equal 10. Or we could have these 3 equal 10 and these 3 equal 10. Or we could have a 4 and a 2. Well, actually, the 4 can't work here in this direction because it would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and we already have a 1 in this box. But it could be a 1. It could be 4 cells this way, and this be a 2, or 2 cells together equal 10. Okay, that's a few different options. Can we eliminate any of those? Is it possible to have 2 sets of 10 in here? I don't think it, yeah, it isn't actually, because again of what we've already got in here. If we were to try to put 2 sets of 10s, we can't use 9, 1 because we have a 1. We can't use 8, 2 because we have an 8. We can't use 6, 4 because we have 4, 6 over here. So the only way we could create a set of 2 digits to add up to 10 would be 7, 3. And obviously, we'd have to have 2 different versions, but we can only have 1 version. So it's not 2, 2, 2. Can it be 3, 3? If it was, we can't use a 1 or a 2, so it would have to be 3, 4, 5, and that's no bueno. That's a 12. That doesn't work. So it has to be the 4, 2 option, and therefore it has to do this. If I can color. Just taking a quick think to make sure everything I just said makes sense. And I think it does. And we can go back and look at this guy and say, well, we already determined the only grouping that could possibly equal 10 is 3 and 7. So these have to be 3 and 7. This can't be 7. Now, what does that say about this 4 grouping? Now, we have to remember that we can repeat digits if allowed on a 10 line, as long as nothing else disallows it. I bit my tongue overnight. If I sound like I have a lisp or something, it's probably what it is. It's very uncomfortable. Anywho. Now, if we were to repeat a digit, it would have to be this digit with one of these 2 digits. What is the lowest this can be? Because we've already said we can't use 1 or 2, and we can't use a 3 now. So this would have to be a 4. And if it repeated a 4, 4 would have to be in one of these two. It's already 8. You can't put 1 and 1. So these can't repeat a digit. So therefore, it has to be from 1, 2, 3, 4. And this cannot be 1, 2, or 3. So this is 4. There's a 2 here, so this has to be 2. This would have to be a 1 and a 3, which means this is not the 1, so this is. We could also say that's a 4. I'd cross that one out. Excuse me. And that 4 now says this is a 6 and a 4. That 4 says this is a 7. That makes this 8. This has to be a 2. This is not 2, 7 anymore. So it's a 4, 5, adding up to 9. These two digits now have to be 6 and 9. And what else do we have that we can use? How about anything with our rows now? Because we've used up quite a few digits here. Or we can just look at this region. Where does the 9 go in this region here? It has to go here, which means this is 6 and 9. And now we can fill in the rest of these. So this has to be 5, 6, and 8, which leaves this as being a 4. These two have to be 5 and 9. Now, if this is a 4, we can start looking at this 10 line. This can't be an 8. This could be a 6, because it would be 6, 4. That would create our 10. Or it could be a 5, 4, and and it can't, because this would have to be a 1, because 5 and 4 is 9. So this would have to be 1 to get to 10. We already have a 1 here. So this is 6. And that tells us now that this is the grouping. Good. Now I'm sure we can do more here because we figured this out. What can this be? It could be 8, 1. It cannot be 7, 2. It cannot be 6, 3. And it cannot be 5, 4. So it is 1, 8. If this is 1, 8, what can this be? It can't be 7, 2. So it's either 6, 3 or 5, 4. Sadly, it's not quite enough, but we can figure out what these digits are because we only have so much left in this column. So this could be 2, 3, and 5, and they do add up to 10. So that's good. This is not 2 because of that guy. All right. What? Okay. I don't just looked at this one again for some reason. This 2 actually has an impact on this arrow grouping. Because if this is a 6, we have to have 1, 2, 4. Can't put a 2 on it. If this is it's 1, 2, 3. We can't put a 2 on it. If this is a 7, it has to be 1, 2, 4. Can't put a 2 on it. So this has to be 8. It cannot be the 1, 2, 5 option because of the 2. So it must be the 1, 3, 4. And we have a 4 here. So 3 and 4. That 3 gets us back to the 5. And we are back to life. That 8 gives us the 6 and the 8. Now this does have to be 2. That 6 gives us a 4 and a 6, 5 and a 4. There we go. Good. These two digits must be from 1 and 5? These 3 digits, good. We can figure out these are for the most part. They have to be 3, 7, and 8. And we must be able to make 10 or less than 10 in these two because we're on a 10 line again. So these are a 10 grouping. So this is a 3, 7, which means this is 8. Therefore, this is one version of a 10 line. This is another version of a 10 line. And we said this is a version of 10, so this must be a version of 10. And can we figure out what this can be? It has to have a 1 on it, first off, because there's nowhere else on this row that has a 1. So the remainder must add up to 9. So it's going to be 1 with whichever one this isn't. So we can put a 1 on that for now. And we'll have to come back to this one, it looks like. Well, actually, let's look at this column, and we'll get an 8 and a 1. It's not exactly what I was looking at, but the bare minimum this can be is a 5. So if this is a 5, and we know we have a 1. We're at 6. So we'd have to be... Oh, no, that's not necessarily true, is it? This is either a 5 or a 6. We can say that. And then this is going to either... It's either 1, 3 or 1, 4. Oh, this can't be 1 or 4. This is 3, which means this is our 1, 3, 4. This has to equal 10. This is 6. So this is not 6, 3. It is a 4, 5 pair. This 3 sees our 7 and our 3. And can we figure out what these guys are to any use? Or maybe just this one is probably the better way to think about it. Or these two. Because now the bare minimum of this is a 5. The bare minimum of this is a 2, which gets us up to 7, and that's what it has to be because it can't be 8 or 9. So this is this is 7. This has to be 5. This has to be 2. This is 1 and 5, 8 and 1. There we go. What about these guys now? We need to be able to put in a 6 and a 4. There's a 4, 5 down here. 6, 4. All right. These two digits now must be 3 and 2. So this is 3 and this is 2 because of that 2 up there. That 3 gives us our 1 and our 3. Good, 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 good. These have to be from 7, 8, 9. This can't be 8. This can't be 7. Okay, we're going to have to look at some of our other digits. What about this 8 clue? We haven't even looked at it on this side yet. We have to be able to make 8. It could be 7, 1. It cannot be 6, 2, or 5, 3. So therefore, it must be 7, 1. And we have 7s and 1s looking at it. So this is 1. This is 7. That makes this 3 and 7. Now, the last clue we have left is this 10 clue. We cannot use 9, 1, 7, 3, or 6, 4. So we must put a 2, 8 in it. There's an 8 there. That's 2. That's 8. This is not 8. So this one here must be our 8. Now it looks like we're just into Sudoku because the 2 here gives us a 3 and a 2. Yep, so let's look at what we've got left over. The 1s are done. 2s are done. 3s are done. 4s can still go. And this is 4. Perfect, which gives us our 5 and our 4, which goes back and gives us our 8 and our 5. Therefore, we know what these two digits are. This one has to be 9. This one has to be 6. We can get this digit now in our row. This has to be 7. That gives us 9 and 7. And that 9 gives us 5 and 9. And we're pretty much done here. We just need to finish these last couple ones. This guy is a 5. This guy is a 9. And therefore, this boy is a 6. There we go. There's a new link. Okay, so I'll put the new link with the solution into the description below, as usual. So I'll click off that and come back to it in a second. That was a great puzzle. Really enjoyed it. And thank goodness my mic did not cut out. Hopefully whatever I've done has made this thing work. I can only pray. Anyway, again, excellent puzzle. Hope you all enjoyed it. I certainly did. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.